So I am here again with Dr. Susan Allen, who actually works in Michigan right now. She's a health professional, and she has been on this playlist before, The Word of Their Testimony. And so she came up with something recently that she thinks everybody ought to know about. And so I'm going to welcome again Dr. Susan Allen, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself again, Doctor, and thank you for being with us again.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Susan Allen, and I'm a nurse practitioner with a doctorate degree, and I work in a small clinic in southern Michigan as a nurse practitioner.
Wonderful. So tell us a little bit about what you are looking at and why you have an interest in sharing today.
Okay, I had a group of people at my home for dinner, and there were 5 people sitting at my table that we were talking about the organ donation, on your driver's license where you can say you'll be an organ donor or not.
Okay.
And we were talking about that. There were 5 people at my table who had all put no, they would not be an organ donor. And their driver's licenses came back saying, yes, they would be an organ donor. Interestingly enough, all 5 people had medical reasons why they couldn't be organ donors. So it was a real surprise when all of us came back saying we would be an organ donor. That was a real red flag to me. I didn't feel compelled to change it until I was talking with a friend of mine who lives in Tennessee. And my friend was telling me that she was with a friend in the hospital whose wife had had an accident, and they wanted to pull the plug and harvest her organs. And he said no, because he wanted to give his wife every chance she could have of coming out of this. And they started getting irritable and told him that if he waited much longer, they wouldn't be able to harvest the organs. And he said, I can't do that. Finally, they told him that in the state of Tennessee, there is a law that says...
Give us again what you said in regard to, in Tennessee, there's a law that says you can override the family's wishes?
Yes. The nurses at the hospital started getting real kind of irritable with this man and finally told him that in the state of Tennessee, there is a law that says if the person said that they would be an organ donor on their driver's license, the hospital can override the family's decision to not pull the plug or not donate the organs.
So you're telling me that you know this person and they are in Tennessee, or you heard of this person?
I know the person who was with the husband of the lady who was on life support.
Okay. So this is a personal friend of yours that was with a man that was trying to fight for his wife's life. They wanted to harvest her organs before she even passed away.
Right, because they were keeping her alive on a ventilator, and they said if they waited a lot longer, then they wouldn't be able to harvest the organs, and they were very insistent on it.
Now, this seems immoral to me that they would want to push somebody's wife's life. I mean, let me ask just for clarification. Were they planning on taking her life by harvesting her organs, or just using one kidney, one lung, and leaving her in a place where she probably would need a little bit of help living in the future? Maybe you can clarify.
No, she couldn't have lived without those organs. They were taking them all.
Wow. Okay, so they were going to end her life sooner than later.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And the family didn't have a choice because it was on her driver's license that she would be an organ donor.
Wow. Okay, so, when I was a teenager and I got my license, I thought, well, of course I want to be an organ donor. I mean, if I can help somebody out after I'm dead, no problem. But now things have changed, right?
Right.
Okay.
And now they're not even giving you the choice on whether, because if you say no, they're putting down yes anyway. 100% of the people at my table 5 people that said no. Their driver's licenses came back yes. And I actually posted this on Facebook, this experience, and since then I've had other people say to me, I just checked my driver's license and it says I'm going to be an organ donor, and I never agreed to that.
Wow. And you know, I agreed to being an organ donor when I was a kid, but I never even expected that they would think of harvesting before my life passed. But now we have to rethink really what's happening. I mean, so this is a pretty big worldwide underground project, right? People are harvesting organs when in all reality they're not supposed to be. Is that true?
That's true, yes.
So now, how do you fight against this? What do you do? What do you say? How do you reach out? I mean, we're trying to lift up voices, but big business are trying to shut us down. And not only us, but I mean, so many other people as well. You go to those YouTube pages where it says this is no longer accessible because it went against
Yes.
the community guidelines. I mean, is this fair?
No, and in fact, since I heard this story, I felt, that I really needed to change that on my driver's license. So I went to Secretary of State and actually talked to the lady in person. How do I make an appointment to do this? And she said, we are not correcting driver's licenses right now. She said, she went and talked with her boss, and her boss said, no, we're not correcting that.
Wow.
So the only way to correct it would be if a person lost their driver's license.
So there's going to be a lot of people in the future that end up losing their licenses, right? It's insane, really. Just the way that things are going, it's just, we can see that the enemy is doing everything he can to try to end life sooner and make money while he's doing it, right? With all the various diseases that I think we can bring into the idea of pharmakia at the end of Revelation chapter 18, specifically verse 23, where it uses the word sorceries, but the actual Greek word is pharmakia. Maybe you can bring a little bit out in regard to that, since you have studied medicine and you understand some of these things. Where is this world going with what seems to be complete deceptions in regard to the pharmacy or medicines of the day?
Yeah, that's a really scary thing because, I'm very interested in vaccines right now and what they're doing to the vaccines. And I've been listening to many doctors who have done major research into this. And it appears that there's a effort out there to reduce the population of the earth right now.
Yeah.
And one of the doctors that I just listened to was talking about the tetanus shot vaccine, and where they've actually started putting the HCG into the tetanus shot, small amounts. And HCG is human chorionic gonadotropin, which is the hormone that a woman produces in the first trimester of her pregnancy.
Okay.
What that's shown to do is that the body recognizes that then as a foreign part of their body, and they build up like an immune against it, so that when the woman does become pregnant, the body attacks it thinking it's the foreign object again.
Okay. Now, my wife, she's a nurse, and she's overheard in the background what she said, and I could hear her saying, wow, that's terrible. Maybe you can just break it down one more time, real basic, help us to understand what's happening in this concept.
Okay, so when you give a vaccine, the concept behind that is you introduce to the body this organism that you're trying to prevent.
Yes.
Your body finds it in a small amount, and it goes into attack mode, and it builds up antibodies against that particular thing that you've introduced. So when they put in the tetanus shot, the HCG hormone in small amounts, the body recognizes it as a foreign object, if you will, because the body is really not pregnant.
Okay.
So then later, when the woman becomes pregnant, the vaccine did exactly what it was supposed to do, and now the body is fighting against what they originally introduced the body to, in this case, the pregnancy hormone. And so it causes the woman to spontaneously abort.
Wow, so you're telling me that these vaccines that are supposed to be doing well are actually planning for destroying humanity in the future?
Yes.
Okay. One baby at a time, it sounds like.
Yeah, and in mass. Oh.
Okay. Well, sure. I mean, you can only imagine that people are trusting the doctors, trusting the pharmacies, trusting the medical companies of the world. This is what fits into that word sorcery or pharmakia in Revelation chapter 18, verse 23. And so we know that the deceptions are large in this world. And I would guess that a lot of this has to do with the people at the top getting more money. Do you agree with that concept?
Absolutely. And there is major money in organ donation. And I can send you a link later to read more about that.
Okay. And maybe we can include that link in the description as well. Now, I'm guessing this video is going to be taken off of Facebook and YouTube pretty quickly. And so what I'll do is just put it on my website and people can go ahead and watch it there and download it as well. Yeah, so we'll be able to have this available for more than just those few that will be able to see it on YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah.
So now, is there anything more you want to say before we close up here? Because this is huge and people need to study this, but what more do you have to say?
Well, I did want to tell you from a personal experience about an organ donation that was criminal.
Okay.
I have a daughter that is in her 20s, and she lives in another state. She has a friend that she hangs out with whose brother went to Las Vegas with another couple. The brother decided while he was in Las Vegas that he was going to visit a prostitute. Mm-hmm. And they were going to meet up again, at a certain time. The boy didn't show up. And they went looking for him, and they couldn't find him, and they couldn't find him, and they couldn't find him. And they finally got the hotel manager to look into it. And they went to the room that he had rented, and they found him dead with his organs harvested. Wow.
So you have a daughter that has a friend that this happened to?
Yes.
Okay. So that's horrible. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes.
At the same time, I'm wondering, that's criminal. Yes, it's absolutely horrible. How often does this thing happen? Do you have any idea at all?
I don't know, but I think we're only scratching the surface. I think it's pretty widespread because anytime you get something where there's a lot of money, you're going to find it happening over and over, such as, drugs. Drugs produce a lot of money, and that's why there's so much criminal activity with drugs, because the love of money is the root of all evil. This is major money in organ transplants. And they've even found that even on the up and up in the doctors, in the hospitals where the doctors are doing the transplants, that some of the people that are coming in saying, I would like to donate a kidney, or, if they have two of something, they'll donate one, only to find out that there are times when that person was forced to do that unbeknownst to the doctors.
Wow, so how do you watch out for that? Where are you safe?
I know, I don't think people are safe like we used to be. The world isn't the same world that we used to know. I think in the case of my daughter's friend, don't ever go somewhere alone.
Yeah.
And, like to a major city or something, don't go alone. There's more safety in numbers. And had he not been alone, that probably wouldn't have happened to him.
Yeah, plus, we've said so many times where we're called to move out of the cities. We're called to get away from the populations where they're likened unto the sheaves that are gathered for the burning.
Yes.
And we just want people to know that there's safety outside of the cities, at least more safety. It's
Yes.
it's harder to move out of the cities right now than it used to be, but still that is God's call. I've got a presentation online, Cities, Get Out. And I'm hoping people will see a biblical reason why they should be moving out of the cities. But, you said there's safety in numbers, but not that kind of numbers. We're not talking about congregations in cities. And so I'm just,
Right.
hoping that you'll be able to help us understand better what you mean there. You probably didn't mean there's safety in cities necessarily, right?
No, I meant don't go anywhere alone.
Okay.
I would say stay out of the cities.
Yeah.
If he had stayed out of that city, he never, he'd still be here today. But if you have to go, don't go alone.
And prostitution's not the answer, right? These things that we have learned about in the Bible are completely contrary to the will of God. So
Yes.
my wife actually sent me a note here. Never open the door to the sin of prostitution and those types of things. We know that it starts with the mind. It starts with the personal actions, what you choose to watch, what you choose to do by yourself at your own time. And then it goes to various things, whether it be online or persons or many times children. And then finally you can't get enough, so you go spend money and go to a prostitute or something. It all starts with those very small decisions that we make, but that's contrary to God's will. And this is what he's called us to do is overcome sin. God has called us to be victorious in every way. And the only way we can do that is by having Christ in you, the hope of glory. Should we be afraid every moment about losing our organs because somebody's going to sneak around the corner and slay us? But probably not. We should be smart. We should be wise. We should always be ready for whatever the Lord would allow us to go through. But he has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love and of a good mind, right? Soundness, and definitely something
Right.
that we should have regularly. So what is it that you would encourage people that have heard what you said earlier about your daughter's friend, about your own experience where there was 5 others next to you who all of you said, no, you're not going to be donors, but you got your license plates or licenses back saying you will be. What do you say to these people? How do you encourage them?
I would say do what they can to get that changed on their license, because that's an important thing. But I think it's real important that at this point in Earth's history that we have to draw closer and closer to Jesus, because that's where our real safety is.
Amen.
And something that you said earlier about, that the thought starts in the mind and then you kind of follow through on it.
Yep.
I think it's really important to let Hollywood stay in Hollywood and not bring it into our homes.
Amen.
I don't think that there's anything on TV or in the movie theaters anymore. I don't know that there ever was, but for sure anymore, there's nothing safe to bring into your home from Hollywood.
Amen. And so we should be coming out of Babylon, but also getting Babylon out of us, right?
Right, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but Hollywood calls themselves Babylon.
No, I'm not aware of that. How do you find that out?
Well, that was on one of the Academy Awards or the Oscars or something, and they had the whole thing set up as Babylon with pyramids and all the symbols from Hollywood, and Jim Carrey was speaking and he addressed it.
Wow. Well, we don't have to go far to see what's a reality these days, because it just seems like the devil is flaunting his sinful thoughts, activities, desires right in front of us, right?
That's
It's
true.
amazing. So, good. Well, you mentioned that we're going to be we're encouraged to study the Bible and to seek Christ before He comes, because we know that Christ is coming soon. And I know that you're a Bible student. I am as well. That's where I've found peace. I know that's where you find peace as well. We all can come together in unity of truth, not just unity based on the fact that we're together, but we want truth to be the foundation. And so that's where to find it is in the Word of God. So I want to encourage
That's right.
everybody to search the Bible to find what is true. And if you have any questions about the Bible, please feel free to ask me. I'd love to interact with you. But also I know that Dr. Susan Allen here is also very willing and interested in answering your questions. So Doctor, how do we find you online, or do you want somebody to go to a Facebook page or contact me to contact you? How do you want to do that?
How about if they contact you to contact me?
Okay, that's fine. I'll feel free to allow that to happen, and we'll try to keep everybody safe, because nobody wants anybody to attack you because of what you've said, and I certainly don't want that
Right.
to happen to me either. So may the Lord bless you and keep you. Is there anything else you want to say to the group that's listening?
No, thank you.
Okay, sure. Well, God bless you, and thank you so much for being with us again. May the Lord continue to bless you, Doctor, and all the work that you do. You've told me that you pray with your patients, and I'm sure you try to encourage them to read the Bible for themselves. You try to get them to the point of learning truth and researching and studying to think for themselves. And so I know that you're doing a great
Yes.
work. God bless you, and we'll see you again soon, okay?
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.